know, Vortex. I'm trying to do multiple angles here to make things more interesting. I know y'all probably get sick of seeing my face from the same angle, because that shit's boring. Now, I realize that everybody's YouTube channel is pretty much gonna be the same shit, you know? People are gonna do the same thing that they've been doing. I'd like to think that I'm the most interesting bitch on YouTube, but I could be totally wrong. There might be somebody else that's crawling under the street. And shooting videos with the spiders and talking about how fucked up the government is. And I mean, there are plenty of people talking about that, but they're not doing it in the Amy Gross kind of way, you know? Like, if we're gonna reiterate and say the same shit that everybody else is saying, I at least want to say it in a different way, through a style that you're not used to. Now, I know I shoot these videos in the car a lot. I really like to drive around. I really value that. I really value that freedom that I have to drive around and talk and sort myself out. That's really important to me. And you know, if I couldn't drive, I'd walk around, or I'd bike, or I'd rollerblade or something, you know? People don't realize that they always have options. Because we live in a society that encourages everybody to think inside of a box, because all we do is stare at one. People eliminate all aspect of free will, and they don't understand that they can do a lot more than they allow themselves. Because if they look beyond their threshold of what reality is, they'd realize that there's this whole other layer that goes totally unnoticed. Now, we're very lucky to know about this layer. Anybody that knows about this layer is going to get accused of being crazy, okay? They're going to say, that's unconventional. You shouldn't do that. You should do this. You should do this boring ass thing that all the plebeian sheep are doing. Because the plebeian sheep are so happy. That's why they're all on antidepressants and watch television all the time and take pictures of themselves and pretend to be 1,000 times more attractive and more interesting and more enlightened than they actually are. You know? It's like everybody's such a damn narcissist, and it has everything to do with everything we're subjected to in this culture. You know? I feel like it's a natural human trait to be, you know, kind of cocky about whatever you think you are. I feel like humility doesn't come easy for most people. A lot of the time you have to work for that shit, you know? And you work for that shit by being a fuck up and a failure and all that. You know, I don't really see much of that in stand-up comedy. I was talking to John Hickok about it, one of my favorite people in the scene, and we were talking about how much you can learn from failure, and like how even the worst things in the world can be the best things that ever happened to you, because of everything that you learn from the experience. And it's just sad that so many people don't see it that way. It's like, I went to a comedy show recently at Zanies, and some of my friends were on this comedy show, And, you know, I enjoyed myself somewhat. I didn't find a lot of it funny, but that's because I don't find sex jokes funny, unless they're clever, unless they're interesting, you know. But to me, it seems like the sex jokes are just pandering. You know, like you feel like, oh, this is what people want to talk about. This is the culture now, so we talk about the culture, right? You're not supposed to stroke the dick of the culture. You're not supposed to make the culture come. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like BDSM the culture, you know, like be the fucking dominatrix and make the culture your bitch. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do. If you want to talk about sex, we should do that joke. That's funny. It's a funny little metaphor. But the thing is, I don't want to give them that metaphor though, because then they're going to think about me like that, and that's not how I want them to think about me. You have to be very, very careful about the things that you say, because you just don't know like what kind of imagery you're going to give somebody, and then they're going to think all kinds of nasty shit about you that you had no intention of promoting about yourself. You know, it's like when I first started doing YouTube, I made a lot of mistakes, and one of the mistakes that I made was that I took videos of myself in the bathroom. Okay, now I did this because I thought it was funny and it was like a risk, you know, especially as a woman doing that kind of shit. It was like just weird. But because I took that risk, there were a lot of people that just totally misinterpreted it. Now, of course, people thought it was disgusting, but there were a lot of people that were like turned on by that shit, literally. And I was pretty repulsed. Okay, pretty repulsed. Mainly because that was my fault, you know? Like, I put that out there, not even thinking, like, yeah, this is how people are gonna respond to this. There are gonna be a lot of sickos out there. They wanna watch Amy Gross take a dump. That's just so weird, man. I mean, whatever. You know what's funny is, like, I remember having this conversation, shooting a video at this exact part of the freeway. I remember it like it was yesterday. Thank you so much, Mercedes. I love that turn signal action. It's so beautiful. Turn signal's such a good look. It's sexy as fuck, isn't it? Oh, they did it again. They did it again. They must have heard my compliment.